Thanks for joining us for the prep phase. Now it's our pre-match show. Different than the prep phase, by the way, because we're focusing individually on the match that's about to happen. We have returned to Group A. We got to see all Group A games here on the main stage yesterday, but Jess and Skies did not get to comment on the Group A teams.
I know, and it's a bit
Tragic.
of a shame.
Well, now we get all of your insight. You've saved it. You've saved it up for today. You got a few matches internationally to look at here. So Group A, we will be starting with Team 1, who is currently, surprisingly, at the bottom of these standings and needing some wins if they hope to make it into the playoffs and defend the pride of Brazil as they are entering as the number 2 seed from the LATAM region. And, of course, Cyclops, who had struggled, maybe looked a bit uncomfortable, nervous in their first game, but they bounced back really nicely and ended up taking the win versus Sonics.
Yeah.
So maybe return to form. So, yeah, interesting stuff. And you know what? Let's just start the veto.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's get into the maps. We don't usually get to start with the vetoes, and the fact that we do makes the analysis like 30 times better because we know what's coming. Speaking of knowing what's coming, I would assume that Consulate gets banned by Team 1, considering it's one of their most popular maps, but they have the worst win rate on it. And if you look over to Cyclops, I mean, they don't mind a bit of Consulate. Last time, 5 times they played it, they won 80% of it. So, I mean, that's a good map for them. Coastline goes out. You want to know why? It is the almost permaban of Cyclops. They don't like the map. They're going to get rid of it. But Clubhouse goes off the board. And I would say, just given off the recent performance of Cyclops on there, they just don't want to go up against Rin running around with the Zofia LMG anymore. Oh, Villa. Okay.
We might be an Oregon here, which could be very good for Team 1.
I am just sitting here quietly taking all this in because if this is Cafe, this is really good for Cyclops.
Wow.
No, what a shame.
Oregon for Team 1. I think Cyclops letting that go through could be scary for them. I think that's T1's best map, Team 1's best map.
Yeah, one of the points that Jesse was bringing up is that Team 1 is one of the best defending teams here, and combine that with Oregon, which has some of the highest defense statistics, seems to play right into the wheelhouse of Team 1. This might be the map they need to get themselves back on track at the major.
And think about the fact that Cyclops is a hyper-aggressive team. The reason that Cafe would have suited them quite well, think all the way back to the BDS game on Cafe in 6 Invitational. They used that aggression to their full advantage. They didn't let them even get to the building. You can't do that on Oregon. That's not a map where you can get away with that. And there's a lot of tight spaces, a lot of tight corners. If you throw a body randomly in there and someone's holding a crossfire, you're dead before you can do anything. So I don't think they have the freedom that other maps would have allowed them.
Yeah, Oregon is a much smaller map compared to Cafe, so there's way less playmaking. Yes. I think that some sites, too, specifically the Laundry site, is very, very, very defender-sided, and you have to get, I don't want to say a little lucky on attack. You have to be able to make sure you can clear out people quickly because it's super easy to run out of time on that site. So they do start attack, I do believe, but we'll have to see.
Do any of the kind of unique operators or more shield play that we see from Cyclops, is that going to be effective on Oregon as a map?
The last time they played Oregon, to my memory, in APAC North, they brought a Kavira. Maybe there was a Frost in there. I mean, look, it looked like ranked to me at the time, right? So they were having a bit of fun because they didn't need to show anything. They were doing great, but they could win with that, and that's what makes them so good to me, at least. I don't necessarily think we'll see the Kavira. I'd love to see it, but I do think that they have the capacity to bring whatever operators they want and get away with the aggressive playstyle. Do I think that Team 1 is a team that will devolve into aggression too? Yes, and that's going to be the problem for Team 1.
Well, potentially a very favorable map selection for Team 1, which is good because I'm about to talk about a lot of stuff that's not so good with Team 1 right now. We said they're coming in Copa Elite 2nd place. People were even then saying this really isn't the second best team in Brazil. It's actually Team Liquid. They just hit NIP in the semifinal. But Team 1 is our number 2 seed, and they so far have struggled. They are in 4th place in this group. There's a lot that's going wrong, and one of the things that's going wrong is Legonis's play. So 4 kills in 2 maps.
Not 2 rounds, ladies and gentlemen, 2 whole maps.
Legonis has been struggling. Yes, he is the support player for the team, but I still think for the expectations these guys have, the performance they had at SI, the performance they've had in the Brazil League and Copa Elite, I think it's completely unacceptable for him. If he steps it up even a little bit, I think it will push their play up significantly. Right now, they're kind of relying a lot on Alamau and Levy, and if, like I said, Legonis 4 kills in 2 matches, that's not good. Honestly, straight up, it's just not good. He needs to perform better, and his team needs to be able to count his team.
How many kills does he need a map on average, do you think, in his role?
I think it depends the score line, but I mean, I think I would say 2 kills in 4 matches, or sorry, 4 kills in 2 matches is just it's just not acceptable.
2 kills on average, too low. What's good? 6, 8?
4 to 5.
How many
4 to
plants does he get? How many retakes does he get? You know what I mean? In my mind,
yes.
I can't quantify it because I'm turning around and going, oh, it's like when Bride has a bad day, but he does like 7 plants, and I'm like, okay, everything else is cancelled because he got 7 plants.
Yeah, if he had significantly more plants, I think he only has maybe 3 or 4 at the time. But in 2 matches, that's not terrible.
It's not awful.
It's not awful. But again, I do think he is underperforming statistically in terms of kills. But the rest of his team can also step up as well. Like I said, they're relying heavily on Alamau and Levy.
Yeah. That's what it's just going to have to be. I'm worried that Team 1 will be shaken from yesterday. They will, and I know devolve probably is quite a harsh word with negative connotation, but they'll devolve into the aggressive playstyle they did on Consulate, and that really suits CAG because they want to take the gunfights on that kind of, narrow basis. They want to take the Monty and just absolutely quick PQ and QE the whole time and ridiculous things. So if they can get that...
I have to completely agree with Jess. The fact that Cyclops is going into their game against Sonics, they're playing more so how they play, which is super aggressive. Team 1, I don't know who's going to be able to match that, so they need to kind of go backwards to how they were at SI, playing a little bit more coordinated, a little bit more team play.
They came 9th at SI, yeah?
I'm sorry?
They came top 10 at SI, didn't they?
They were very, very good at Team SI, yes.
Top 10 team.
All right. Well, this is their chance for redemption today, for sure, and they've got an opponent currently in 2nd place in Cyclops, so a bit of a surprise potentially to many people who are at this tournament. Some people were saying, oh, Cyclops, they're the dark horse, they're the most aggressive team here, they can cause surprises, but to be in 2nd place right now, which if they can maintain this position will put them in playoffs, maybe that's a bit of an overperformance compared to the expectation coming in.
I don't know, because this has been a long time coming for Cyclops. Ever since, C9, or rather Giants, left the APAC North regions, they became the Giants of the region. Cloud9 were really their only contention and vice versa, and now they are the kings of APAC North without a doubt. There is no contention. You could turn around and say maybe Damwon and maybe Fnatic, but that's just not true in any way, shape or form, and I think we need to give them the respect that they deserve, that at some point dominating your regional league and your whole area, essentially, even APAC League, when they did go down to the Oceanic and Southeast Asian leagues to get their spot here at the 6th major, I think that they just need the respect. If they don't do well here, we've given them enough chances.
And, Skies, you noticed something a little bit interesting in terms of their operator bans. What was that?
Yeah, so I think, like I said, we've talked about it pretty much this whole event, and every time we talk about Cyclops, they're a very aggressive team, and they have banned Melusi 15 times. And I think that really, really plays in their play style. They just don't like it. It neglects playmaking, it neglects aggressive plays, and it just makes everything easier for them when it's gone. So that, you can see that Monty, you can see those flashy run-in plays out of nowhere. So it's perfect for them, and I think it also will hurt Team 1 a little bit because they do play a lot of Melusi.
They do.
And to wrap up our conversation on Cyclops, how frustrating is it as a player and as a coach to be faced with these very shield-focused styles? I know our other pair of analysts, Jacob and Jesse, were very impressed with some of the plays that they were making on these operators yesterday. But also, Sonics themselves said publicly, like, it kind of tilted us. And it's not a common play style, so is it frustrating to be in the server against that?
It could definitely be frustrating, especially against people that use it well. But you have to keep your sanity. You have to play together, and you have to make sure you are playing around the shield. If you take the 1v1s with someone behind a shield, you're going to lose, and that's a lot what Sonics ended up doing. Cyclops abused the Clash, they abused the Montane against them, and like Monty just said, the tilt and the stress was very obvious on the face of the Sonics. So going into this event, or going into this game, Team 1 really needs to be prepared for the shields.
The big thing that you have to realize is that unfortunately you do have to change your attacking composition to deal with that playstyle. That is very annoying for a team like Sonics, who has, this is the composition for this side, this is the composition for this. Everything is really strict. It is in a nice box with a bow tie on top, and I'm asking them to rip the bow tie off the top, open it up, saw the box in half, bring a Zofia, bring a Capitao, maybe bring a Nomad, and push the Clash and get rid of them. Because you are consistently throwing a butter knife at like a rough piece of steak, it's not going to cut. So I'm sick of it.
Quite the analogy. Okay, we're ready to get into our first game of the day here, and I believe we have Intero and Kickstar on the mic. Welcome back to the mainstream.
All right, thank you so much. Yep, the very first day here on Mainstream A, and we're standing in front of you and in front of the teams who are ready to quarrel. Team 1 versus Cyclops is going to be a fascinating show. They talk about the aggression from Latin America, but it's APAC who's taken that crown recently. but Team One needs a bounce-back day. So does Cyclops. What are your expectations?
My expectations is this is a really important match. I mean, it was touched on the analyst desk. Both of these teams find themselves in a position where they haven't really been meeting their own expectations for themselves. I think there's a lot that we could see out of Cyclops and Team One both. I think in specific Team One, they are underperforming. And I'm really looking forward to see if they've got the chops to take this one.
Yeah, I really had Team One high up on my, I guess you call them power rankings. And they just didn't really show up yesterday. The result that we saw out of them was not particularly good. Cyclops had some good showings here and there, but overall, you know, APAC is so hard to properly get a handle on. Obviously, Damwon Kia surprised yesterday. I think Invictus surprised yesterday. There is likely to be more upsets today.
Yeah.
Do you think a Cyclops victory would be classified as an upset?
I don't know. No, absolutely not, Parker. I think we're past that now. We've gotten to the point where, yes, APAC is, they're always going to be the perpetual underdog in many eyes of the community. But personally, no. I think that Cyclops could easily take this one. I don't expect it necessarily. Team One, for me, are the favorites going to this, but only slightly, especially given their performance yesterday. What are we missing?
They're waving at us and giving us hearts.
Me too. Mwah.
It'll be fascinating to see how much of this is also played out on social media. Obviously, people saw the dust up yesterday with Team One that spread across Twitter and Reddit and all that jazz, and the dust seems to have settled and everybody made up. And it was very nice that it was amicable and there was a nice resolution here for them. But boy, oh boy, I am intrigued to get into this one. Oregon, obviously the map. Team One, a good map for them. The operator bans are going to be particularly important. The desk talked about this, how Malusi ban is almost assured at this point. So are we going to see a slow Oregon? Both of these teams are hyper-aggressive. I would be surprised if it's a bit of a snooze fest. A lot of people call it Boregan, Snoregan. Oh, you think it's too slow? I don't think we're going to get that today.
So there's two things to consider here, or there's two potential paths we could go down. As you just noted, on we do have two teams that are very aggressive, typically. And the word aggressive is overused often, but basically what we mean when we say that, at least in this case, is that these teams like to take fights. They like to take it to the enemy, especially on defense. They're going to be presenting you with problems that you don't necessarily anticipate. That's part of what makes Team One and Cyclops both great teams. We're going to load into Oregon as I continue to talk about this. Now, sometimes those teams can lean into that. Other times, they get cautious when they're presented with a team similar to them. And in this case, that's what we have. So I wonder if they're going to be able to keep their aggression. I think whichever team plays their own siege more today will be the victor.
Yeah, absolutely. Setting a tempo, setting the pace, these are things that we've talked about with a number of different teams. Yesterday it came up quite often in the match with Damwon Kia versus G2, which was, to most people, I would say, the most surprising result of them all. It was the last match of the day yesterday. And we did have a lengthy wait for it, but you know what? I think it was worth it.
Do you actually think, I mean, we talked about this during the cast, because we actually ended up casting that one. Do you really think that it was like that upsetting given the way that... What is that voice? What are you doing?
Nothing.
All right, you know what? Never mind. I'm gonna table my thought.
I think it was no. Ooh, there you go. There's the targeted ban. They had discussed the fact that there was going to be a shield in play, and well, you get it. Not today. No shield available for the Cyclops Athlete Gaming.
Oh, another shield.
They don't like them.
They don't like the
shields.
No,
thank you.
They're aware of what they don't want to play against, and that's good. So we'll get rid of the Clash on the Montaigne, and that prevents a lot. Malusi, there it is. You talked about it. Almost a guaranteed ban. So this is really interesting. We've got Thatcher in play. We've got Valkyrie in play. We've got Kaid in play.
You know what I would say? I would say that these bans, Michael, they're very funky. We've got some funky bands at play right now. I don't know.
Parker, you can't say that.
We've got some funky bands going on right now. So you look at it and go, what the hell's going on with these? Why are these operators not available? Well, who knows? But
funky bands.
Absolutely.
Oh, and Jackal. Jackal's in play. I mean, everything really that you've come to expect on the ban phase. I mean, Mira. It's just, it's an odd one for this match for sure. 6-pick off the Jackal into a Nomad. Very different, similar but different roles. You know, Jackal's more proactive, Nomad more passive, reactive. But, you know, get rid of the roamer or at least contain the roamer. Now we've got a bottom floor defense here for Cyclops to start things off. It looks like they brought okay, this is interesting. They brought one shield.
Okay.
And they put the shield in the hallway, not on elbow. So they already have a different plan. than what we're used to seeing on this map.
Castling off the double doors and completely shooting out the wall. This is something. This is that will be a sight to behold.
I really like the look of this already. It looks like it's going to be an extension up into meeting and attic. I'm obviously considering that's what they're doing right now. And I want to see their final positions. That's the most important thing here. The final positioning of these players is going to be really how we understand this setup. And oh, look at that mirror window going up into dorms. Valkyrie cams all over. This is the type of setup that is facilitated by the castle, the Mira, and the Valkyrie. The abundance of information from the Valkyrie allows you to spread further, and the mirror windows gives you more hard points to hold. Now let's see how it plays out.
I don't know if they thought that there would be somebody provoking a fight by Kitchen, but the setup is still a bit too late. 30 seconds into the round, and the castle and the Mira were over by the back of attic, leading to the back tower. And you could hear all the hail of gunfire as the top of tower is going to get taken as well. T3 will go in their place, and no reinforcements remaining. The last one had been used on attic. I don't know if there's a roamer off-site that they're hoping to catch by Kitchen, as we talked about before, but KDS is sitting and waiting, watching that same angle while drones go out.
Love that camera. That's, I think, on one of the satellite dishes on the roof. No real... Oh, okay.
Oh!
There it is. Gatorada starts things off, and down goes Alimau. Good start for Cyclops.
Given what we saw in a Team 1 yesterday, the team was very top-heavy in terms of their fragging potential. Alimau and Levy were hands down the best performers, and the rest of the team really struggled. Now, they played around those two players very effectively, but you've lost Alimau early. Losing Alimau early, losing that Nomad early, no air jabs. For a team as aggressive as we can find Cyclops, you're now going to have to send somebody on dedicated flank watch, which means that you realistically only have 3 players looking for this execute. As this is happening, though, and half of the round has been eclipsed, this is a bottom floor defense. You might have forgotten that given where the map control is being held right now from Cyclops.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Because of the setup from Cyclops, I mean, you said 1 flank player on attack. I might even argue you need all 3 or 4 because the way this setup is made, Team 1 doesn't have a lot to work with. The shotgun from Anaton on the tower stairs will net the second kill. He'll fall back off of that knowing he doesn't need to do any more work.
Sophia's pick rate, by the way, has vanished for a lot of these teams. And instead have been running quite heavily onto the Yana, Maverick, and even Sledge being on the board. Obviously, as you can see from Team 1, they're bringing all of it. And they're going to need to clear out some of this denial that just awaits them. Levy sees the Surya gate straight ahead. There's a castle barricade next to it that they'll have to just cleave their way through. But Levy's focus is over at the moment towards attic. Explosives go out, and Suzu can get it off, but he gets down by a grenade. He'll need to be picked back up. 30 seconds remaining for the last players from Team 1 to try and pull something off. Another grenade goes in, and this barbed wire in blue goes down for the count. Levy eyeing a potential play, but Anaton so much better. Black Ray as well gets one of his own, and the Secure right now not looking very good. Levy will make it so it's not flawless, but CAG take round number 1.
What a creative setup there from Cyclops. I love the way that they did that extension. Once again, facilitated by, or at least enabled by, the Castle, the Mira, and the Valkyrie. Those 3 in tandem give you so much obstruction from the Castle and the Mira, and information from the Mira and the Valkyrie. And I love the way that they use that to hard hold on their roam. We've talked about the difference between roamers that fall back and their primary job is just to waste time, they don't want to take any fights, and roamers that are actually trying to hold a position to potentially get a kill or to stop a take from in a particular location, or at least isolate a take to a different location. And that's exactly what we just saw from Cyclops. They had the hard roam, and it worked great. Team 1 were clearly flustered. They didn't seem to know what they wanted to do, how they wanted to address the setup, and instead, what did they do? They took Big Tower, and all died as they tried to transfer to site because the setup was really adequate for a big tower hold.
Team 1 spends so much time on parts of the map where they didn't really need to fixate on, and then got caught on the positioning of different Cyclops players that were far afield, as you would say.
Love that saying.
And I mean, I don't expect that this round is going to be any different. It's an upstairs defense of the dorms bomb sites, and you might notice an operator doesn't get a ton of play, making her debut. Kavera in the hands of Gatorada, and will be playing downstairs. And will we see an interrogation? I mean, the answer is, we want to. Who doesn't want to see an interrogation? Everybody does. The question is, are will we be so lucky? Will Team One be so unlucky? That's the question.
Jess was talking about the potential for the Cav on the desk earlier, and it is really cool to see Cav be brought out in this play. And look at that camera again. That's the same one we saw last round. I believe it's on a satellite dish. Great visual aid, and this is why people ban Valkyrie. This right here is you got to get rid of it. They'll find it. That's great for Team One, but the information is still relayed.
Black Ray was also playing off of the window, and the Hibana's poised. If Black Ray looks the wrong way, Lagonis will walk away with this. Only 4 kills for Lagonis yesterday. I think Skies mentioned that one on the desk.
Yeah.
And he just frankly needs to be better than that. We know that his potential is higher, but he needs to be able to contribute to the team a little bit stronger in terms of the scoreboard. There goes a drone, and Team One are now not floundering, but they're waiting very patiently, and Ali Mao gets dropped. First casualty yet again, and Anatoon goes fishing for another, pulls out the pistol and engages incorrectly.
Oh no!
But here it comes!
Oh no!
An interrogation, ladies and gentlemen! Gatorado with one, and it'll pull it off, and every single member from Team One has been exposed, and CAG want to take advantage of this. Lagonis tries to drop as quickly as he can, and Black Ray misplays that, but that's the first casualty for CAG.
And Anatoon will be picked up despite losing his fight earlier. That's thanks to Gatorada not only getting that kill in tower, but also the interrogation forcing Team One to back off. Now in a 2 versus 4, this seems pretty unrecoverable. However, we've seen some miracles before. Lagonis does have Diffuser in hand, and both of these attackers have full HP. Also, Lagonis does have already in this match, we've only played 2 rounds so far, 1/4 of his kills from yesterday, so that does bode well.
CAG so far so strong in these engagements, and oh my, another spill it.
Not like this.
Neskin, where are you? Let's find it. 2 interrogations in 1 round, and they'll hunt down the last player from Team One, Ayagator and Gatorada in that position. And why not a 3K for the Caveira as CAG goes up 2-0.
Wow, what a round from Gatorada, and the Cav is clearly the play, Parker. We've seen a lot of unconventional siege from Cyclops today, and you know what? It's darn impressive. I love their setup on the bottom floor. I love the way that Gatorada used Cav here, and I love the aggression from Anatoon in Attic. Challenging the Maverick holes as a Jaeger just willy-nilly in Attic? That's so dangerous. But it was a distraction which allowed Gatorada to get that flank off. That's teamwork. That's decisiveness. And Parker, we talked about the team that maintains their version of Siege in this match will have the advantage. Well, right now, that's Cyclops.
Well, and they're having fun.
Yeah.
There is so much to be said for the mentality of a team and how much you're just vibing. And Cyclops are having a great time. I mean, you take these 2 rounds on Oregon, you bring out Tachanka, which, by the way, is not abnormal. If you watched the match yesterday, I think the biggest example was Na'Vi when secretly played on it. But Tachanka obviously just received a host of buffs. Not just destructive work to that LMG that he carries around,
which is way better.
Also to that Shumika launcher. And how quickly they deploy, and how long the fire lasts for, and how quickly you can pull out the gadget and put it away.
Yeah, I'd say that Tachanka is a more reasonable control operator now, more similar to Smoke. The big difference, of course, still between Smoke and Tachanka is that Tachanka requires much more pre-planning. I would say the skill ceiling on Tachanka is very high, but the skill floor is also, so you have to put in that work.
Oh, excuse me.
That's not great for Team One. A start of a first kill once again. This time, luckily, for Team One, it's not Alamau.
Through 2 rounds so far, Team One has 2 kills. Not what you want to look for. Obviously, CAG is quite lopsided. In fact, there's half of the lobby at the present moment has 0 kills, or have 0 kills, rather. But that first bit of action in Small Tower will blunt any potential momentum. 1 of the 3 sets of grenades are now off of the board, and your best option for soft destruction in the sledge is additionally gone.
Look at that. They're going to use an explosive drone on that Prisma, and I think that's interesting because you need to do it to open up engagement potentials from the window. But it's a lot of investment from utility on Alimau's side. We'll see another one used here above the wall so that they can get the mute jammer later on, and that's good utility placement. Ray going for another fight. This time he takes the disadvantage, but Gatorada's there to support him. This teamwork on the peeking outside the building is incredible.
And he's calling for assistance, and that's not a clone, that's the real one.
Oh!
And a huge
Oh!
play from a flawless round as Gatorada knocks all of them down, and it's 3-0 Cyclops.
He walks in with the pistol out, and they are just not ready for him, Parker. In fact, I would extend that statement to the entire match so far. All 3 rounds, Team 1 have not been ready for Cyclops, and that's the story.
Boy, oh boy, at what point do you have to slap the pause button and settle down your team?
Right
because, I mean, I would assume so. Look at this. Comms obviously a mess. They pivot correctly, but what is Lagonis doing at that point?
Yeah.
Where are you looking? Team 1 takes their timeout.
You called it. Yeah, and this is you're absolutely right, Parker. This is the time to take a timeout. You gotta reset.
Yeah.
Because it's not working. And again, you're not prepared for Cyclops. That was. I mean, it was an impressive 4K there, but also it really does fall on the shoulders of Team 1. I mean, like, where is the coverage? Where's the control? What's the strategy? Team 1 falling apart at the seams. I really sincerely hope that this tactical timeout is enough for them to find their momentum, find their strategy, what siege they want to play, so that we get the match that we're all hoping for.
And I mean, the funny thing is they deliberately knocked the Clash out of the defensive rotation by banning it, and Cyclops haven't even needed it, Michael. So...
Yeah, it hasn't really... I mean, clearly the guns for Cyclops are just fine.
Yeah.
You know, this tactical timeout, very important. And you could see them conversing.
A lot of long faces on that bench, though. A lot of long faces.
You know, it's funny, Parker, because... With Thatcher being unbanned, and he's not really being brought, to be honest, but with Thatcher being unbanned, and actually with the way that these bans played out in general, I don't know if I'd give an edge to the attackers, but I'd say it's certainly more enabling. But the thing is, the conventional way in which Thatcher enables a team actually hasn't been relevant at all. Over these last 3 rounds, I mean, who's opening walls? Are we seeing that? No. We're seeing a forced clear because the roamers from Cyclops are so aggressive. They are on top of these attackers all the time. And they're doing it together. Cyclops are peeking out of windows together, which is not something you see every day. Usually, roamer coordination is isolated to co-positioning to allow for crossfires. Not so here. Cyclops are going all the way. They're in each other's heads, Parker. And you love to see that kind of play.
Well, things can obviously turn on a dime quite quickly, especially if Team 1 manages to get back in the game. They are a very momentum-heavy team. They have lots of energy usually. But
usually, I don't see it right now.
Yeah, it's absent at the moment.
Yeah. A lot of, you said long faces. I would agree with that. Some conversations still being had here.
It's a very long timeout.
Yeah, something I feel like their tactical timeout would be over by now, but I don't know.
Yeah, it seems like it's past the 30-second mark, but I mean, I
didn't look at my watch.
I'm no clockologist.
Yeah, me either.
How to throw out your voice 101, by the way, have an exciting first 3 rounds of a matchup early in the morning.
It sounded really good this morning. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I turned off. I talked about this earlier. I turned off the AC in my room, and like I didn't wake up with a like a dry throat.
I think I need to start investing in a humidifier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a traveling humidifier.
You can put one in your luggage.
Yeah,
that'd be really convenient.
So
I mean, for those of you wondering, the reason why we're talking about humidifiers here is because we've seen some siege over the last 3 rounds that really doesn't indicate anything for us on Team 1's side, only on Cyclops' side. And I mean, we've raved about Cyclops. They've got a lot going for them right now, and it's really interesting to watch. I want to know how they're going to be able to convert this kind of siege to future matches. Right now, Team 1 do not look like they are comfortable. They have a total of 2 kills over 3 rounds.
Well, it was a flawless round.
Yeah, last one was, yeah. Now, if you want to support your favorite team or just get some esports sets, you could do so in the esports tab in the Rainbow Six shop. You saw there the APAC set on Legion. There's a lot of really cool ones that you can check out at your leisure. And if you do end up buying one of the team skins, that's a good way to support them directly.
10 seconds left before
Back downstairs as the rotation will start anew. Cyclops had some success on this particular site to start things off, and they did what you'd expect them to do, but they had a Mira last time around. There's been a small change here, and I wonder if that's to try and maybe take some of the advantages of that timeout away, because the assumption would be that after you take the timeout, laundry is open again, laundry supply, they're going to go back downstairs.
Yep.
You'll be prepared for that. And the extensive roam from Cyclops as well.
I wonder if they're going to do the extensive roam. I'm seeing Anaton on, okay, so what he's doing is he's trying to counter the common repel up to tower, but there's no one over there right now, so that's not going to work out for him. He'll have to rotate his roam. And yeah, no, generally, Cyclops are playing much safer, much more passive than they have done in the previous 3 rounds. I like this, Parker, because we just saw the tactical timeout. I'll but guarantee you Team 1 we're talking about the aggression. And now it's gone.
Yep.
Which is going to, I'm not going to say, not chalk your mental necessarily, but it's going to make you start thinking if you're Team 1, and it's going to put you off edge. Or on edge?
Yeah. Off edge, on edge.
What does it really mean anyway? Alamau on a Twitch, though, that means that he is looking for frags.
Yeah. He was on the Flores pick earlier on, Nomad as well, so flexing onto whichever operator they need him to play off of. In this case, Twitch has a good gun, and we've discussed this as well. What's one of the reasons why people like to bring that? Well, if you need some fragging power, and F2 is, of course, a great weapon to have that.
Yeah. It's even after the nerf, after they removed those 5 bullets, so they had a little bit more recoil. It's still a great weapon. Down goes one of the Twitch drones, though. Not a great start there for Alamau. Those are very valuable drones.
They're playing off of that bulletproof camera that's down below. So you've got 2 Evil Eyes, you've got the bulletproof cameras, you've got lots of information, and then just everything else that you can play off of too with this. The site has mostly been opened up. No elbow control, as we talked about, with the way that some teams want to hold it. So Team 1, they look like they're going to hit Freezer and the front of the site at the bottom of main stairs. That's where their focus is at the moment.
This is going to be a very difficult push. Oh, KDS opens it right up, though. Down goes Anaton, and that is exactly what you need. He has that shotgun that you're not going to be able to challenge directly. Levy's going to eat some damage there in the main lobby. Does manage to clear that Surya gate, though, and that's at least some progress. If Nade used to do that, though.
More grenades to get tossed on out as Gatorada will have to watch both Freezer and the main stairs, and a drop from Levy could be met with the UMP in hand of that castle. Gator still farther back, Aldo waiting so patiently as Team 1 have the numbers advantage. And Gatorada is going to take the engagement. He gets blown up. That's martyrdom, but CAG are just cleaning up on the kill feed. Neskin in a 1v3 becomes a 1v2. He's got his work cut out for him. Enjoy that SMG-11 while it lasts there, young man. He'll patrol over towards Freezer. The 2 remaining members from Cyclops nestled in the site, and they have a crossfire established. This will have to be very crafty, but it's Black Ray to finish the deal, and it looked like things were going well for Team 1, but in the end, Cyclops picks up their 4th round through 4 rounds.
Yeah, that's impressive record so far for Cyclops. And I got to say, that setup that they're doing on the bottom floor, if it's successful a few more times, and, well, I mean, it's not going to be in regulation because we're about to end this first half. But if it's successful, let's say we get to OT, or if we see Organ played by Cyclops again throughout this tournament, and they bring that same setup, it will start getting copied because it's very different, but it makes a ton of sense. Instead of investing in the hard points that we're used to, what they're doing is creating a blender in the site. So, for example, hard points like elbow. If you're holding elbow with that shield, when you lose elbow, you lose the cross. And now the attackers have that in the site. But if you forfeit that cross in the first place, or contest that cross in a very different way that's less rigid, then you have the potential to engage on it and disengage. While in the site, once disengaged, you can create a blender for when the attackers have that control and then punish them for that control. That's what we're seeing from Cyclops. It's quite genius, and I think it plays into the typical Organ basement attacks that we've been seeing a lot lately, and counters it well. And I'm just impressed.
As am I. I mean, Team 1 just look like they have no idea what to do.
That as well.
With Cyclops. They finally started to get some kills on the board there. They over doubled their previous tally, but it's still just not enough. And you don't just want to fixate on kills, but you kind of need to when it's Team 1. Alimau in particular, 0 and 4.
He had those 2 early rounds where he was the first pick, you know, and sometimes when you get tabled like that as a player, it gets in your head. I hope it's not for Alimau because we know what he's capable of, but right now we're not seeing that potential.
There's no way this is going to work out, right? Have they droned him? That's the real question. It looks like they have. A Valkyrie camera thrown up a bit belatedly, and Team One are very quickly going to try to take the basement, as we saw some scouting being done by KDS's clone.
This is good control down. Oh, he's going to catch the Valkyrie, but doesn't land the shot. Manitune's going to get out of that unless traces through the wall. No, it's not going to happen.
You heard some screaming in the background there from them, by the way, as it was like, oh no!
Oh, he's going to get me.
I almost got caught.
But he didn't, though, and that's the thing. The lethality for Team One, just not there right now.
Yep. Lagonis will watch as the carving goes into the reinforcement in Attic. Maybe just a line of sight being opened up. Alimau tussling in his very first contest. He'll lose about 25% of his HP. No kill, none successful on his side. Suzu also roaming now, as he'll link up with the Goyo of A-Gator, and maybe they'll drop. Who knows? Who knows what the strategy is here? They'll take out the castle barricade, so they might want to occupy Freezer. Goyo shield's blown up at the back of the stage. And we're halfway through the round.
Well, this is one of the better rounds from Team One so far, because they haven't died yet. No one's dead. And that bodes well. Usually Team One has dropped a body at this point, or two.
Look, Gatorado was going to engage up top in Attic. Oh, if they make a move here, they could potentially catch KDS looking. KDS, the marks and the sounds coming in from the proximity sensor. Lagonis is down for the count. CAG walks away with this one. Neskin picks up one kill, but it's outdone by the fact that the Valkyrie continues to reign supreme. Alimau is in, diffuser in hand. Ayagator is dropped. They're watching the flank. Suzu's next one up. He catches them from the back, securing the kill, trying to transfer. Can't outduel Neskin, who's on 1 HP. Alimau is next to him. It's a 2v2. Suzu will need to be picked back up. Sight control right now for Team One. Anatune takes out Alimau. Neskin with 1 HP. Gatorada's got the opening from above. And there it is through 5 rounds. Team One have mustered nothing. The final defense for Cyclops. And they've got a perfect half brewing.
Very close. They just need one more. It's really impressive stuff from Cyclops so far. The thing that's standing out the most to me, Parker, is that Cyclops is never forcing any kind of awkward engagement alone. There's no... sure, they have isolated engagements, but those are all your standard fare, your expected fights, and often Cyclops are winning those.
Yep.
But when they go for a flank, for example, like in that last round on Tower Stairs, it's never just one. It's always two. Not always from the same location, but they're always converging on the same point and creating a crossfire or just having the refrag potential in the direct fight. I love that. I love, again, the coordination, the communication from Cyclops. It is clearly polished, and it's beautiful to watch. Also, Team One are just not prepared for it. I mean, I'm surprised in that last round because we actually saw Levy get a kill on one of the flanking players. And then he just left the flank. He's like, oh no, I got the kill. Surely there's not a second one. And then he turns his back and there's a second one. It's just, I mean, like, you gotta expect it at this point. We're 5 rounds in.
Yeah.
Well, 6, really.
By the way, what's happening right now with Cyclops is what you get when you watch APAC North. And if you think APAC North is crazy, go watch APAC South. Because it is a wild region. And I feel like a lot of people, because of the time zone difference, out in the West as we'll call it, NA, LATAM, EU.
Yeah.
They don't really watch a lot of APAC Siege. So for them, they see this and they're like, wow, this is wild.
Yeah.
This is what it's always like, by the way.
Yeah.
So if you want riveting, non-stop action, guided by a great team of casters, tune into either APAC North or APAC South, because it is really something special to behold. And traditionally at LANs, it hasn't really worked out, but APAC are very quietly putting together their best showing that we've seen at an international event in a very long time.
Yeah, there's a combination of things here. I mean, Team One are... I'm trying to find the right word. Harmless right now, which is unusual for them. So whatever's going on there, it's problematic. I think it mostly is them not being able to expect the play from Cyclops. And you touched on this before we even started, Parker, and I'd like to reiterate it now. APAC are the more aggressive region, and we're seeing that kind of visualized here for us right now.
Oh, absolutely. At the moment, Team One looks like a petting zoo. Yeah. So, and there's some heavy petting going on from Cyclops at the moment. Fatal petting, actually.
Yes.
Don't. But you don't do that at a real petting zoo.
Don't do that. Yeah.
Yes.
That'd be a bad idea.
But regardless, they are a bunch of fluffy kittens, stuffed animals, whatever you want to call them. Team One are toothless, I think was what you said.
I said harmless.
Harmless.
But
toothless is also correct.
Yeah, they both kind of the same vein there. Parker.
Also toothless, cool dragon.
Yeah, that was a really good.
Yes.
Anyway, this clear inside of showers is successful, and that is one of the few little bits of structured strategy we've actually seen in all of these 6 rounds of the first half. They got showers control, but AA Gators continuing to contest with Black Ray, and this is just, I guess, what you have to expect from Cyclops now.
And they're just holding Team 1 back. They do have a drone in the site to scout off of, so they can very easily see the Wamai of Anaton, and there they go. They collapse on it. Team 1 desperately need to take this round. They have fallen so far behind already. If they can pick up a couple more kills here, then the round becomes imminently more winnable. Gator tries his luck, but KDS picks up kill number 2 for Team 1. Could a third be on the board? Black Ray and Gatorada patrolling over by White Stairs. Levy could be the next one in. He catches Black Ray, and he gets fed to by Gatorada, who's now looking for more. He'll push up to small tower. Flank watch has been a particular problem for Team 1. If you're Gatorada, you have to be excited for that. But Lagonis is on that flank watch, and he manages to light him up. The last one left is Suzu, who's above. Keep in mind, the site down below. So this Maestro will make an awful lot of noise, and he'll look the wrong way, get lit up, and he loses the fight. Finally, Team 1 get around on the board.
Wow.
It comes at the end of the first half.
Yeah, and that's what I want to touch on. Look at them. Look at Team 1. They learned what the problem was. They figured it out. But they won the last round.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's 5-1 now. Okay, so what did they learn there? What exactly happened? Why was Team 1 successful? They got basic execution down. So that is to say they cleared out the showers anchor positions, which means that Cyclops can no longer engage, disengage, engage, disengage. When they're engaged, they're fully engaged. There's no retreat. There's no outpost, so to speak. There's no, I get to set my tempo. It's just either Cyclops are fully engaged or they're falling back. And in this case, Cyclops decided to fully invest in the engagement. And then following up that initial clear from Team 1, they just waited patiently. We all saw that push from the Jaeger, for example, down that shower hallway. I mean, he's just waiting. It's just, okay, I know someone's going to push into my crosshair. I will wait for it to happen. And had Team 1 figured that out just a few rounds prior, we might be looking at a much more even scoreline. But
yeah.
Now it's the second half, so.
Well, this is a remarkable showing so far from Cyclops. We still have a nice follow-up match of BDS versus SQ.
That'll be interesting.
And you and I will be voicing that one, of course.
Yeah, it's funny we're already talking about that. Because I mean, okay, Parker, do you think that now that Team 1 are on defense, that stuff is just going to start changing? Like, are we going to get...
I mean, this looks like a very defender-sided Oregon so far from what we see.
Yeah.
I will, as much as I want to praise Cyclops, and they do deserve it, there's a lot of the issues with that first half were Team 1's inability to be a properly structured and coordinated team.
And they did figure it out.
And yeah, for the last round. But I mean, a broken clock is right twice a day, right? So I mean, it could have just been that they caught lightning on one round and that's it.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens now as they have the side working for them. CAG will not be with that Montaigne, which was discussed so much. So there's no shields available for them, and they're not going to bother to run that. Gators on Ash. He's going to need some help in the firepower department because this team is very top-heavy. Gatorada with 11 kills so far through those 6 rounds. That's an impressive tally. Yeah. He's been doing so on fragging rolls, so you're doing your job correctly. The same can't be said for some other players in this lobby. And speaking of doing your job correctly,
it's taking a little bit long. So it actually has to do with the number of ticks, because each tick does a set amount of HP. It's not to do with what you're opening. So you actually don't actually have to do a full circle around it. It's just you have to get those ticks into the reinforcement. And he did it in a way that was very dangerous, but it's job done.
This can also become a very different game very quickly if Alimau finds a kill. He is the only player in the lobby that does not have a kill. He is widely considered to be, at the moment, one of the best players in any region in this game.
Yeah.
Having 0 kills is not where you need your star player to be, especially with how Team 1 had struggles yesterday, despite Alimau playing so well.
Many people hold Alimau in the same regard as Shaiko or Nesk, you know, right up there with all the other legends. And this kind of performance is, I'm not going to say unacceptable, because they make their own leeway. That's why Alimau is where he is. But it is something that will very seriously hold back Team 1, and he's going to need to change it here in the second half. He's got the shotgun on Ella to potentially do that. I think it's a good tool to use.
And they're scouting out where they want to push from. It looks very similar to what we'd seen previously. Oh, no. Well, that's unfortunate for Cyclops, is that, oh my, the Sledge of Black Ray has the shotgun. He doesn't have the L85, so this will be fascinating to watch. This is something we have seen before from Cyclops, so it's not that outside the ordinary. KDS is down, so Alligator will be the spear to walk through Freezer, but he gives his position away right as the smoke clears. One for Anyton. If Cyclops prevails here, this is match point. Black Ray dueling Neskin, but he can't do anything with it. So Anyton's up next, engaging with Alimau. No kill for you, Alimau. Nitro Cell goes off, and it's 2 rounds in a row for Team 1.
So as you said, Alimau not on the board, but the rest of Team 1 is making it work, and look at the smile on their faces. That's great to see. It doesn't matter who's getting the kills for the team, as long as the team is winning rounds, and that's a good mentality to have. Team 1 within 3 of evening this out, and it's definitely not inconceivable. I agree with you, Parker. I think this is going to be a very defender-sided Oregon, but I will say that round was save the last round of the first half. That round was the most close, or the most likely to slide in the way of the team that lost of all of the rounds we've seen so far. And it was just the first attack for Cyclops.
Well,
is that a glass?
That is a glass, Michael, yes.
Need to locate and
Don't see that every day. Big window attack, you think?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams will like
Maybe
to open
attic.
up that one panel leading from the window, throw in some smokes, throw in some candelas, and then vault in the window. You can do something similar with glass, and there's also a Capital on the board too.
You see it with Ying a lot.
Yep.
I mean, it also could be an attic push, because pushing on attic can be difficult. Use the smokes and being able to see through those smokes. But I mean, we do look at this. We've got the Warden on Team 1, so they're ready for it.
I mean, they 6th picked onto that, seeing the glass and the Capital on the board.
Well, the glass was 6th pick too, I think.
I don't believe it was.
I thought it was.
I could be wrong, and I'm
I could
happy
be
to
wrong
admit
too.
if I'm wrong.
It's all moving very fast, Parker. These rounds have been quick.
The glass, funny enough, is not bringing a set of smoke, so instead we'll rely on Suzuki and Anyton to provide that, while the glass can look through it quite readily. Those grenades can also be used to displace when the smokes goes out. So let's say, for example, Anyton smokes. What do you do as glass? You follow up with a grenade, and you blow them up in their place. Glass was 6th picked. You are correct, by the way.
Okay.
It was a Yana that was showing.
Got it.
So the Warden was 6th picked, and they don't know that there's a glass on the board. And until either a default cam goes off or that DMR fires a single shot, there it goes. It's suppressed, though.
No,
so that
was it?
It sounds suppressed.
I thought that the alibi gun yesterday was suppressed.
I
don't think this is suppressed, man. I don't know. It looks suppressed too, but I can't tell.
Well, wait, and it looks like it might be an early push. There goes one grenade from Black Ray, trying to push Cyclops to match point. Neskin falls, faltering, losing the mute. No Nitro Cell available.
The rat-tat-tat of that LMG. They're going into the big window, trying to find a target through all the potential lanes. We've got a lot of anchoring positions that are really important here for Team 1, but they're actually pretty far back, all things considered. They're really relying on their presence inside of dorms. And considering there's still smoke on the board for Cyclops, they have the play that they want in their pocket. They are going to need to clear out an ADS before they can make that play, but the big window strat could work still.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looked like they wanted to do something a little bit earlier on. It doesn't come to pass, so now they will just wait and devise another strategy, with the focus from Cyclops potentially being a back play, and all of Team 1 are looking towards big window.
You know what I think it is, Parker? I think they were trying to bait with the big window play for more picks. They only got 1, and that was downstairs, so now they're reassessing their strategy.
I don't know if KDS got spotted on that drone that goes by. The glass could walk into his doom. If the call's been made that trophy is clear, then there will be a problem. But the sound cues will come in from the logic bomb as KDS evades one, flash another. He catches the glass. They thought they had it, and Team 1 have perfectly trapped the last couple members of CAG. Lots of work to be done for them, and they trail in man count by 1 at the moment.
Not easy to recover from this position. Top floor can be held by a skeleton crew. We've talked about it before, and currently Team 1 have the advantage. What's more is Cyclops are very spread out, but look at that, KDS goes down. Oh, if that shot had landed from Gator, this could be a very different story, but a 3v3 in the last 30.
And this is the last firebolt ready to go on in as Suzu is trying to distract them. KDS is still down, still bleeding out. Suzu will walk in and secure. Ali now looking for kill number 2. He's not going to get it. And CAG come in and just wipe the floor with Team 1.
What?
And complete the cleanup to move to match point.
Wow, what an absolutely unexpected result from that round. And you know what, Parker? At the beginning, Team 1, they're playing passive, and they stay far back from that big window. They let the smokes go out. They don't overpeak. They don't give any picks to the glass. That's great. That's smart. That's what you need to see in that situation. But Team 1 remain passive for the rest of the round. The only extension of their aggression was the Jaeger inside of Trophy, and that's just not enough. Further, he was left on an island, alone, no support. Remember in the first half when we were discussing how Cyclops, every time they went for an aggressive play, there's always someone there to support that player getting aggro. Not so here for Team 1.
Well, this has really been an absolute turnaround and a very unexpected result from what we saw from Cyclops yesterday. The story of this event now is Team 1 will go winless through 3 if they don't put something together very quickly. Is this Team 1 team went into SI 2021? Looked so strong, looked like they were climbing the ranks. Promising young gunners, and they've had a rough showing here in Mexico. What changed over those 4 months?
That is a good question, Parker, and I definitely want to talk to the team about it, get some more insight. Right now, from an outside perspective, I'm getting a lot of G2 kind of vibes. The expectations are high, and they're not meeting them. That's just the nature of the event sometimes. You know, every event is different. We have to keep that in mind. Sometimes things just don't line up the way that you'd like them to. I mean, Alimao, I feel really bad for him because, you know, he when you're on the pedestal and you're high up there, when people are praising your name for being one of the best fraggers in the game, and then you drop 1 kill, sometimes it could bring unwarranted hate. And he's not having a good game right now. The rest of his team is trying to compensate. It's not working out. And that is a sign of a lack of depth in the fragging department, I will say that. But I think that there's something more going on here that we don't know. And I can't speculate on it necessarily, but this doesn't feel like Team 1 that I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
And throughout the entire event, really, that's been the case.
Well, a loss here for Team 1 doesn't knock them out of moving past the group stages. But mathematically, it becomes almost insurmountable for them.
Yeah.
So they know that a loss here, in which will be their 3rd loss, only netting a single point from an OT loss they had earlier on, could potentially be the end of them. Gatorado runs in, by the way, and I think CAG's strategy is a bit too aggressive, but Suzu sees trying to turn the tide, picks off Alimao. Timeout picked up an earlier kill. They'll stare in towards bathroom as this is a dining and kitchen defense. Suzu could have picked up a 2nd kill onto Neskin, who got a little too aggressive and cute with that window.
Ooh, the flank from upstairs, and A-Gator takes down Levy. That's going to even us out. Once again, Team 1 had the advantage, and they don't necessarily squander it, but it is taken away from them in this case. The Cyclops on match point have still half the round to work with, and the only disadvantage in the manpower department is Suzu sees a low HP.
Yeah. This is fascinating, using the X-Kairos to open up a line of sight. We don't see this all that often, but I mean, you got to use the tools that are available at your disposal. They'll hack the cams, gain some intel, and then logic bombs will still be available, just a single one. Suzu almost dies there. That is not good. And the last logic bomb will go off. You got to use it lest you lose it. Smoke's still in the hand as well as Neskin under fire from that Dokkaebi. You don't need more than a single HP to make this work. Anaton could potentially connect onto one more, and Neskin loses his fight. Anaton is still there. Out go the ADSs. Cyclops, just like that, now have an advantage in the final 40 seconds, and they just need to stick with it. Lagonis and KDS will be the ones to try and prevent Team 1 from losing in what would many consider to be an upset. Lagonis with a single shot will be able to take out Suzu. See, but what just happened? The last 2 players from Team 1 pounced upon, and just like that, the match is over. APAC and CAG take it 7-2 over Team 1.
Well, Parker, we talked about how the team that decides to play their version of Siege best will be the one to prevail in this matchup, and in this case, that was certainly Cyclops. I did not see Team 1 on the stage here today.
No, I have no idea what that matchup was from Team 1, if I'm being completely honest. That was an impressive showing from Cyclops.
Really
good. As well as Cyclops played a number of those rounds. It's one of those matches where it's more characterized by the mistakes that the loser made. And in this case, Team 1 looked like a shell of themselves.
They certainly did, Parker, and I am not impressed. I am not happy with that kind of performance. I don't really particularly root for any kind of team, but Team 1 has so much more potential than we saw on that stage. At the same time, I am so happy for Cyclops realizing their own potential in this matchup and, again, playing their Siege. It worked great, and it was super fun to watch.
Well, Cyclops now vault to the top, tied up with BDS, as they now have 2 wins in regulation. They didn't need to go to overtime. They don't drop any points. The next matchup is Sonics versus BDS. Sonics are only a single point ahead of Team 1 right now. If Sonics prevail in that matchup, the likelihood of Team 1 making out of the groups basically drops to 0. Not quite 0, there's still a chance, but it's exceedingly unlikely.
Yeah, but are there the odds? That match is going to be tough for Sonics and BDS alike. I mean, we could see what I think most would consider to be an upset there. Sonic could take that, but we're going to have to wait for the moment, obviously. That last match, though, was really great. That's it for Parker and I for now. We'll toss it on over to the desk.
Thank you, Kickstar. Well, a very surprising match to start off the day. We thought maybe this would be the start of the renaissance of Team 1, living up to their reputation as a strong team coming in as the #2 seed from Latin America. Instead, it's the #1 team from APAC North, and it's Cyclops who, after they stumbled a little bit against BDS, have now won 2 regulation games and are firmly in control of second place in Group A.
This is a playstyle that is refreshing to me, because when we speak about APAC, we used to say in APAC we attack, and that was the thing we used to sort of coin as the term for APAC, and that being one of the most aggressive regions in the entire world, after Latin America calmed down their sort of aggressive playstyle. Today was just an absolute domination of a kind of style that I've not seen since Latin America first brought it into the competitive scene, however many years ago that was. This is it, this is fresh, and now we finally get to see APAC do a bit of domination after a little bit of a lack of expectations from them over the past couple of years.
Oh yeah, Cyclops was definitely attacking today. Team 1 was not. Cyclops was always in their face, getting the trades, setting the tempo. Since round 1, setting the tempo of that match. And I thought Team 1, you know, we talked about beforehand, they might not be able to handle it, the aggression coming from Cyclops, and clearly they couldn't. Alamau had a pretty underwhelming game, which is very unexpected of him, and I think it showed. Again, Team 1 was kind of relying a little bit on him and Levy. And, you know, that's kind of the result you get when your star player isn't performing.
Yeah, his performance was less Alamau and more, Lamau.
Yeah.
Good one.
Clever.
Yeah, really, really tough. Thanks to Predator for bringing us these replays. And let's start with this. The bans. They tried. Team 1 was like, no more shield shenanigans there, Cyclops. Goodbye, Montaigne. Goodbye, Clash. You're not going to be using those. So what was the immediate adaptation on the defense from the Cyclops team?
Yeah, so I think the Monty Clash ban was obviously a direct target ban of Cyclops. They are the teams that have used it the most. But the biggest problem with banning the Clash is leaving the Valkyrie up. Valkyrie was the most banned operator against Cyclops all of the APAC league. So now leaving Valkyrie up allows them to abuse that, allows them to spawn kill more, be even more aggressive, and make more plays off of each other, which showed specifically in that game. Team 1 didn't use the Valkyrie the way that Cyclops did, and Cyclops took full advantage of it. They used it for the runouts. Blackberry, I think, had a runout off the first round of their kitchen dining defense. And after that, you know, the 3-piece and the hallway as well, it's just they used those cameras perfectly.
Yeah, and the big thing for me was that it was not just randomized, uncontrolled aggression, just randomly peek and you win the gunfight because your mechanical skill is better. No, what you're seeing on your screen now with all of those beautiful stats is that a lot of the players stepped up, and the Gatorada and Anaton were enabled by players like Suzuki on the cameras to do the job that they needed to do. They were getting kills off of the intel, whether it was the Valkyrie cams, whether it was the Maestro cams, whether it was any kind of intel that they had from the default cameras. They had it going for them, and it is not a team that does things by accident. This is all a coordinated effort to get the kills for star players out there. Gator, who's one of the best players in APAC North, you know what he did? He sat back and let the other players shine today, and that is a really, really well-rounded team.
Yeah, still all players above 75% on the cost, though. So you can see the contributions kind of across the board when it comes to Cyclops. And as an analyst myself, I enjoy it when teams answer a lot of my questions. And Team 1 has answered a lot of questions, such as, what happens if only Alamau and Levy are on their game? And now we have an answer to the question of, what does Team 1 look like when Alamau has a bad game? And the answer is really bad.
I think it's also compounded by the fact that Cyclops countered their playstyle really well. So I think it's that, plus Alamal's getting opening death, multiple rounds in the first half. So that's really bad to begin with. But then it's compounded by the fact that, I know we have a clip for this, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up just to reminisce just a little bit about a little bit of Kavira play. I did speculate on the pre-desk we would see a bit of Kavira.
You said that you had seen it previously played by Cyclops, but you said also that you didn't think it was like the most serious pick from them, but they're showing it was a serious pick.
Absolutely, and this was the exact map that they did it on. Were they hyper successful with it in APAC North? Not really, and most of it came down to more long-range shots and just using it to be able to sneak around the map. There's one interrogation. There's two. And every single time they got all of these free kills and all of the interrogation, of which it will ping every player on the map in their outline, so you get pretty much free walls, as we would call it. That is something that shouldn't happen in Pro League. That's something that shouldn't happen in the Major.
You can just see that's a tilter. I mean, the reaction shot of Team One just like slumping in their chair, dying inside.
What do you do? It's happening. You can't stop it.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Team One, but the first interrogation, I'm not exactly sure how it's even possible to happen. The Mav was in the middle of maving the wall to attic. So where's the flank drone? You have a dead player. You have players alive. There's no flank drone set. He just runs up the stairs.
Who's not watching the Maverick line as well? You know what I mean?
Yeah. How is it possible that even happens? They had, I think, 6 drones up in that replay, and this guy's able to completely run up and interrogate and lose the round. Like, I don't understand how it's possible. So that just goes to add on the point that Team One is playing so sloppy compared to Six Invitational. I don't know what's going on with those guys, but they need a mental reset immediately.
It may be too late. I feel like, let me just put it this way. I feel like given their performance up to this point, they've now played half their matches.
Correct.
They just went in to their best map.
Yes.
And got smashed.
I mean, look, they still
I would say mental recovery from that is going to be hard.
They still have Chalet. There's a silver lining. They still got Chalet. Like, Oregon's off the board.
They don't have many games left to get back up there.
Exactly. And especially, giving over a regulation win to Cyclops makes the points,
really heavy too.
Really hard. Really hard, I think. Because we have to remember, too, that BDS has 2 regulation wins already. So
they're already on the train up and up. And we said this. They looked really good yesterday. So I don't expect them to be losing too many more matches. Maybe OT, but yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about round 3 then, which was it was a God out of 4K, but we're only going to look at the 3K that happened later on. So, Skies, you want to walk us through this and how he's able just to kind of get in this corridor for free and do great violence against Team One?
Oh, man. Some of it just comes down to timing, but let's see. He obviously walks around the corner, wins his initial 1v1 gunfight. The other 2 people just are not prepared. I don't know if there was no call out, but Alamo was looking into the shower room, and Black Ray just abused it. I don't know if there wasn't communication, but he caught the last 2 off guard. The first one, he just won his gunfight.
It's not even just that, because I think I said to you when we were sitting there watching that, I said, I wonder if his Shift W is stuck. And so he didn't have time to wait and reload. He's like, just pistol, boys. That's all I've got left. The man didn't even shake the moment he saw 2 extra enemies in front of him.
He never stopped at all. He just swapped guns and kept going.
Exactly. and I mean, what do we call it? Practice grounds now? That's what we're calling it. We're not calling it T-Hunt anymore. That's what it looked like from my perspective. I was like, man, this man's in training grounds right now. Like, this is ridiculous. So that was really impressive. And it goes to show that they're very confident in their mechanical skill, and we didn't see that against BDS.
I didn't know Cyclops had John Wick on their team.
Yeah, it's true. That's a good one. Yeah, Jesse was saying when we were talking about Cyclops yesterday in their match versus BDS that he really missed what he thought was missing was the follow-up aggression. So it was like they would take an aggressive position, but they wouldn't double down on it. That's a big you're all in at that point in time. Not even missing a beat, just zooming on by, swap weapons, let's go for the 3K.
Wow. The confidence that takes as well is really important. I think that's what's going to elevate Cyclops, and I think we saw that a bit from a couple of other teams where, okay, maybe in their first games against BDS, a bit of shakiness and whatnot, but I think if you are confident enough as a player, not just mechanically, but also strategically and utility-wise, you are going to follow that up, and your team is going to follow you with that confidence, and you raise everyone's level. That's what I was saying about A-Gator not having the best of games because everyone else got to shine. He still did a whopping job considering the cost, but he didn't need to shine because the rest of the players were also leveled up.
Comparing that game and the Sonics game versus the BDS game that they had already, they are really diving deep into their own play style. They're worrying more so about themselves than the other team, and that's obviously showing that's their strong point. So if they continue to do that and be able to adapt to the other teams, obviously not focusing completely on their teams, but being able to adapt to little things, it will completely push them through more and more in this tournament.
I think what's frustrating if you're planning for them now is like the shield bans didn't work, so you're basically opting into some other weird junk that they're going to throw at you, or you're opting into getting shield meta'd, and it seems like they have many ways to like psychologically put you off your game.
I will say though, there was one moment, and I think it was about round 6, where I felt that Team 1 had worked out how to counter them.
How did they do that?
And I felt that, well, I mean, they weren't winning their ones. So what happens when you don't win your ones? You can try and use a lot of grenades. That will help. Try not to take the ones. Try and use your utility and a bit more coordinated strategic play. Unfortunately, they missed a lot of grenades, and there were ADSs that weren't cooked. So that was lacking a little bit of coordination. But what I liked was that they held angles for longer. And when CAG is a team that can't sit still and they want to peek you, maybe play that angle hold game. We saw it on Chalet. Who was doing that expertly? DZ.
Dark Zero.
DZ was doing that perfectly against G2 when they went, we don't want to take short-range gunfights. We don't think we can win on that basis, so we're going to hold really long angles and wait for you to run past our crossfire. And it worked round after round. I'm wondering whether or not that will be Cyclops' downfall, is that they just can't sit still. And that's going to be their problem.
Yeah, you said though that the adjustment was made when they were down 0-5 though, so might have been a little bit too late. But they did pick up a couple of rounds after that, so it did seem to be working. It's just when you're in that much of a hole, it can be very hard to get out of.
Pity.
Well, fun times from Cyclops Gaming. Congrats to them. They are now firmly in, actually, they're tied for first place now technically, but BDS hasn't played another game. But they will be playing another game in just a few minutes. We'll be on break, Sonics and BDS when we return.